out on the water today. We also fixed rug burn today. Well, I didn't. Charles did. So thank you very much, Charles. She's quiet now. We did get out and do a little bit of fishing, but honestly, Charles was worn out. I was worn out, and from the 4th of July festivities, not really me, but the people around here trying to blow up the neighborhood last night. I didn't get to bed till after 11 and got up at 3 a.m. and was just a little worn out from being out fishing the whole day yesterday. So no excuses, but yeah, we were a little worn out. The fish, we were definitely on fish, and a front had slowly been coming in. It probably actually got better after we left, but we only fished till like 11, it was before noon, and we went and fixed my truck. So anyway, I want to talk though real quick what was working and what wasn't. And it kind of translated a few of the things from my fishing yesterday to what was transpired, like definitely on the morning bite. So you guys know I always talk about whopper ploppers, right? We usually this whole summer anyway, it seems like the whopper plopper has been like a bait that just works in that morning bite on whatever body's water we're on. I briefly threw mine, but Charles, who normally is on a whopper plopper, like because yesterday I could not get any whopper plopper fish, and I caught all mine on my buzzbait. Right? I got them all just mixed up. All I did when I first came home earlier today, a long time ago, was to get all of the, oh my goodness, what in the world? All the Elastec off of the regular baits. We already got a little melt job going there. But anyway, that bait, the bluegill colored, definitely has kicked in for me and been working real good. And this morning was no different. Man, now they weren't big. They were dinks up hitting the banks. I was actually throwing this thing, and I started doing the same thing with thunder crickets later on. I was throwing it on the bank and then pulling it into the gunky grass, and it just started, and I was getting hit like that. But I caught I don't know how many real quick, and then nothing on whopper ploppers, and then even out in open water, they were hitting this. Then there was this kind of spots where it was almost so grassy I couldn't really even work this good, so I broke out my frogs. And then actually this frog, we caught a few on it, and I think I caught another one on one of the other frogs. I cannot remember which one now. But anyway, was the frog that I definitely had just a very little bite going. The wind was blowing into the bank on one spot. So a couple, mainly on this, is the Booyah Poppin' Pad Crasher. Kind of has a little bit of a bluegilly look with some orange on it. I put those legs on it from one of our, when I was doing the bluegill pattern skirts earlier in the season. I had all those extra ones. I didn't really like for anything else, but I figured I'd throw them on made my own frog tail. But anyway, that wasn't working too bad. But then I noticed they were coming. I don't know if I drew them out of the gunk, so they were just hitting in more open water, but they didn't really want a moving bait. You had to like either the frog, or then I started throwing like this popper. If you guys remember me talking about this in a few videos, you can't get it anymore, unfortunately, but basically a white popper. And Charles had, I think, a chartreuse one, and we got on a little bite. Where is my other bait? Oh, here it is, right here, Pop Mat. So I threw this one first, and then when I got to this one, the bite had already kind of shut down, but this is the guy that definitely got some hits too. So for a topwater, the video you'll probably see will be coming out with basically these three. This one on fire right off the bat, and then these kind of picked up the pace in another spot. Those three. Then, oh, this guy never even got out. I never got it out on the water and got it wet. But I had planned on throwing in. We got some jigs out there. If you guys remember these dudes, I bought two of them, the sinking and the floating. So I threw the sinking, and I'll be honest, just like Charles, like, man, that color does not look like, it looks too bright. But this thing, I like the way it swims. Did not do any. I think I mustered up one fish with it as a little dink. But I like the way it swims. It's got a good. It looks like it's swimming, kind of cool. But it's got this little steady, like thump you can feel, and it just feels good. It's not a glide bait, right? it's not really a rattle trap and it's not really a glide bait kind of thing. It's just got its own deal, and that's a Megabass copy for sure, right? But even though it's funky made, I wish it was a better color. This is one, if you guys remember, I bought these and I set one outside, one of the two, I can't remember which one now, the sinking or the floating. I put it outside, hanging up on this lattice stuff in the backyard, and I laid it one way for a couple weeks and another way for a couple weeks, and it never even showed a sign of starting to fade. But if this paint was just faded, I think this bait would be a one to get hit, because it, and also the size. It's not like a real big. It's only like a what, 4, maybe 5 inch, 4.5, 5 inch. It's not a huge bait, but it's big enough to get some attention. So I probably will keep it. But I also tried these kind of things. Rattle traps didn't seem. We mustered up some fish, but the bite was really not on that, and so I kind of caught a fish. But I still say that it pays. It's worthwhile, even if you were, like me, you ordered a bunch of those blue craws, is to just at least get some sort of a bluegilly, something with a little bit of blue and maybe orange in it as a skirt, and then go with either an orange or a June bug purpley type tail, one of the two. Change the tails around, but have that little bit more flash in the appearance, in my opinion, so far anyway, this season. So I kind of started to do a little thing. We didn't get that far in it, but the main dude, you guys know who the main dude always is. This dude I did manage to catch. I tried it with, I kept these to show you. So I pulled, that's just a blue craw. If you guys, let me backtrack a hair. So you can go on eBay and buy a dozen of those 5/8 for $60. So that's $5 a piece. And I just was like, well, let's throw it by itself and see if it works or not. And let's try it all Strike King. So I tried it with the, what is that? Sapphire blue. Some people call it royal, but I don't know. It's got a few different names, but it's like that kind of blue with blue metal flake kind of deal, or just a black and blue. I tried it with both. As you can tell, this one got hit and we caught a fish, and then I don't think I got hit, or maybe I caught one with each. I caught one with this and one with that, but the bite, I'm not as big a fan. It just showed me just enough today that I probably won't bother with trying to throw that just with that skirt. I will only keep the ones that I've added some sort of some little bit of a hint of more blue than just what's on the front nose of it. So either the bluegrass or the Hollywood craw at the least, or a true like a bluegill skirt. So the baits that always work, the Screaming Thunder crickets. I did try wherever it is. Yeah, this original. When I just threw that on. I never threw it with that. I put that on. That's what I was going to try, and we didn't make it that far. And I did get out and get a couple fish on the lighter, the 3/8 with that. Got on a few fish with that. That's I think they call it the mini mop jig. It's not really a mini jig. It is definitely not as big as the regular mop jig, but I don't know if I'd call that a mini jig. You could put a smaller trailer, but we did get on a little bit there. I had thrown the bigger one, and just the heavier one where deeper water didn't seem to, and with this trailer, didn't seem to translate as good as that one. But the bite was kind of a little funny. I think it was hot, and the front hadn't come in yet. So I think we were basically fishing ahead of a bite that probably kicked in about the time we were leaving to go fix the truck kind of deal. But out of these two, it was definitely the orange at the place we were at. So I was trying, to make sure it wasn't just a trailer profile thing. I actually was throwing a June bug on the one. They're identical baits, more or less. And then with the orange, and the orange definitely was getting hit a little more. And the water has darkened up over the few months, over this year where we were fishing. So the orange is always works. You put that on chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, throw it on, you could actually just throw it on a willow vibe, like that orange turned into a moving bait does better than just a Zinker's orange and brown thrown on bottom going slow. Once you start moving it, I guess they don't get a good 100% look at the color kind of thing, so they'll kill it, try to slow it down. But if you throw it out there by itself, working it slow, you can throw it on a jig, and they kind of hit it, but I think the skirt also creates a thing to let them hit it more. But it by itself isn't near as attractive to those bass as putting it on as a trailer. So that's really it. Other than we did get out, I threw this just to throw it. I'm like, dude, I've had that. I was starting to go through some of the swim baits. And where's the other swim bait I'll talk about? So these are basically just the small versions of this big swim bait. So I finally got that one out, and I threw this before I threw this one here. So all I really made it in that big box of swim baits I carry around, all I really made it to just jacking around with was this one, which I like the way it swims. Caught one little dink with it. Wasn't impressed with that. Just the way it feels good. I was throwing this out, letting it hit bottom, and then just kind of swimming it, kind of dragging it along the bottom, and it never even got a bump, never even got nothing. This one I got to a point they were hitting that around us, so technically middle of summer is probably not the best time to throw, an umbrella rig, but the way the little dinks were hitting around us, they'd come up, start busting up, so I had that on the tequila back rack, and I finally caught them right when they had popped up, and I threw it right in the middle of that mayhem, and I caught just one little dink on it. And so I just thought I would share that, but I don't know. I've never liked that bigger stuff as much as I do just throwing a smaller bait, but I could see where it'll have its time and place kind of deal, but I'm not a huge fan of umbrella rigs and swim baits in general once they get bigger. I like the fun factor of them. If the topwater bite's kind of going right, you can kind of sense, like if you're on an awesome topwater bite, it may be the time to throw some of them glide baits that kind of stay high in that water column and kind of create, a presence in the water. I've caught some decent sized fish like that. What's up, Frank? So anyway, it's the same stuff. Like, I don't know if I'm forcing them or what, but I can have an all day bite going with the chatterbaits, thunder crickets in particular, if you in and around grass. If that wind's blowing down a bank or especially if it's blowing right into a grassy bank, there's always from the ponds to the lakes, everywhere I've been so far this year, that these just go in and out of the grass. You can kind of just pull them through. They weren't staying as clean today. That grass is kind of going through something. It's kind of weird. I kept coming up with and it stunk like to high heaven. I mean, it had this stink, but it was like fresh grass. It was like it was, sprouting new buds or whatever, and it was starting to grow, and it just had, I don't know, there was a smell to it, and it was a little harder to keep it cleaned off of even the thunder crickets, but we were still catching that way too. Hello, Meow Mr. 2. What state are you from? Well, we're from Missouri, but Missouri, some of us call it, and down around like Clinton, Missouri area, up all the way to like the Liberty. I haven't fished there, and it's been a few years because it's really not that great at fishing if you ask me, but Smithville Lake down to around the Clinton area over to, oh shoot, I can't even think of the name, where we were catching smallmouth with Jeremy and them. Melbourne? Does that sound right? Maybe not Melbourne. That may be. I don't know. I deliver over in Kansas, and a lot of them guys tell me about the lakes over there. I just don't get over to Kansas enough. I missed the window. Every year, Kansas has a free weekend. I don't even think you have to have a fishing license from anywhere. You could just show up on their bodies of water in Kansas at like one weekend of the year, and I missed it this one. The guy at work told me about it. He's like, they're the free weekend, and that's when the truck was jacking up. And anyway, so that truck being jacked up off and on, I pay $200, $400, $800, get something worked on, and then it's just always kind of left me hanging. Hopefully it's fixed now. I made it all the way from Clinton and home No lights, no lights on the dash, no check engine, nothing came on, however many miles it is from there to there. And I'm like, hopefully, cross your fingers, knock on wood, who let the dogs out kind of thing. Hopefully it's fixed. But oh yeah, I forgot to mention, we do have Fireball. We got her in a clear cup just so I can see what's going on down below. It's kind of like it's kind of like having live scope. If you drink your drinks instead of a red Solo cup, you drink them out of a clear. You can tell what's going on with your ice kind of deal. So, fingers crossed. All fingers. No. If the truck stays going good and I don't have to spend any more money other than tires, I do plan on putting tires on it, but I know a guy that I can get tires, right? Because I am that guy. I'll probably go to a size taller. It's got like 265 70 17s is what the factory is, and that's just what I put on it like 2 times now since I've had that truck. I think I'm going to go with 285s. I just think they look a little better. I always was just like, I'll just stick the factory size on it, but I think I'm going to go one size up. Probably going to be the Mickey Thompson Baja Legends EXPs. Those just have an old school and an awesome look, and they work good. I would sell quite a bit of them. But I had, and this isn't a tire video. There is a couple tire videos. If you go watch, like, if you're a diehard Bass Bonsai guy, you'll see where I put out a few tire videos. Because I've had the not BF Goodwrench, the Goodyear Wrangler Duratrax. I've had those on my truck before. New set of those. I bought the new set of the Patagonia MTs. Now they have an O2, a newer version, supposed to be a little better. The Patagonia is just they're kind of a finicky. If you don't rotate them every time you change your oil, you will not like those tires. I'm not a rotating guy. I will rotate them once or twice maybe in the life of the tire, but I'm not huge on rotating tires. The Duratrax, when I put those on mine, I drove it for a year and never did anything to it. And in my head, I thought they were wearing faster than they should have, but honestly, they were over half tread still. And I just drove that truck. If you guys remember the show, I had a blue Ford 1997 F-150 4x4 that was literally, I called it the Beast. But that thing ran good. It was an old beat up. It had been, I think, stolen, repoed, and all kinds of things. And I bought it from a tow lot, and it just ran. Finally, I destroyed the transmission. I think it was like a $1,200 truck, but that truck was a beast. It was just the beast. But that truck I put brand new Duratrax on it from Discount Tire. That was right before I started the job I have now, and I never, for the whole year, I drove it a whole year of fishing season, going in muddy areas and stuff, and I never had to lock it in 4-wheel drive in the snow, in muddy spots going fishing. It just the newer than at least 97, maybe 96, whenever they started, the way the rear rear ends work on a Ford, they're almost basically like having a posi track. They both bite, and when you've got a good tire on the back, you don't need 4x4. So the same thing with the Patagonia MTs. Not in the snow, they were definitely not as good a snow tire, but in the mud, the one I have, the truck I have now, rug burn, the 4-wheel drive didn't work. I didn't know that. I got the truck, got it fixed because I bought it needing fixed. Fixed it, bought new tires for it, went fishing, nasty, rainy, muddy. It was nasty. I'm like, I got new mud tires. I got a 4x4. We're good. I got down in a old, out of the way, in the mud, in the muck, and realized when I went to lock it in, like, oh, my 4-wheel drive won't work. It's not locking the 4-wheel drive. And I just drove out of there without, I spun a little bit, had to gas it just a hair, and it just bit and went. Those Patagonia MTs are no joke for like off-road, in mud, or whatever. The EXPs probably aren't going to be as good. And the other set that I'm getting ready to take off, they're not bad, but they're a cheap tire. Westlake 369s. They're sort of a copy of a Hankook ATMs. Those I had a used set. I didn't. My yellow piece of crap truck I'd bought came with hand cooks on it, and they weren't bad. They actually got me out of a sticky spot once, and then they were already maybe not halfway worn down, and so the hand cooks weren't too bad. But the the two tires that I like that look, if you guys have never heard of Milestar, that's what the Patagonia MTs were. Milestar also makes a Patagonia XT, which is sort of like a copy of the, could be a couple things. The Dick Sepic, they have a certain one. Some of the Mickey Thompsons, the XPs, like the Baja kind of look, or those Fun Countries or whatever, Dick Sepic. But the Milestars, if you guys look into them, they literally have included in the price of the tire is a 50% tread wear, like guarantee, road hazard, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, meow, Mr. Two running the Milestar XTs. Yeah, the XTs are definitely, so where I sell those tires, those guys are like, yeah, we like those. Now, also, if you're thinking about this, there's a newer version of those. They look a little different. I want to say they're XT Extremes or Pros or something. There's a different name to them, and they look almost a little more aggressive, but I hear those aren't near as good, so I would watch out for those. But it's just the Patagonia, the MTs, you're better off, honestly, if you're a short range inside the, say, country, city, you're not going on the highway a lot because they're going to wear, like any mud tire, they're going to wear faster. But the XTs and these EXPs, they're kind of that all-terrain, off-road, a little bit kind of tire. There's just a lot of those out on the market right now, but those are two that pop in my head because they're not crazy expensive. And I honestly, myself, I'm a raised white letter kind of guy. I grew up in that era, right? Chrome wheels, raised white letters on your hot rods, like hiked up in the back, not dropped in the back like they're dropping the trucks nowadays and all that kind of stuff. So that's maybe what Rugburn will get, or Rugburn's just going to get sold and I'm just going to buy something else because it's to that point. That truck has 89,000 miles on it now, and it's, you know what I'm saying, when they get that old, it's just like, oh, this is out, oh, that's out, oh, this is out, oh, that's out. So the I just don't even know what to replace it with because I'm not spending a ton of money on a truck to haul the boat I use. Now, if I decided to get a bigger boat, I still don't need, you don't need a lot of a truck. I had a little Blazer that we pulled my Ranger bass boat with. I had a Ranger that I pulled my little 14-foot, like the boat, like what Charles has, you say is fishing with him. I had a little Ranger 5-speed, 2-wheel drive that I pulled my little 14-foot John boat converted into like a bass boat and in and out of boat ramps like a Lake Tacoma and different stuff without an issue. You can't like fly down the highway, but you can drive like a normal person. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. If it keeps jacking up, one more little hiccup and it's a goner. So back to the fishing stuff. I'm debating. I've already been out 2 days this 4th of July weekend. I don't know if I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm going to double check the weather. I'm getting ready to go to bed here shortly. I'll double check, look at the weather, and see if I even want to mess with setting alarm or just get up and try to go somewhere briefly. But I'm loaded and ready. I never really unload my boat, but the boat, trolling motor, batteries, all that's ready. All I would need to do is load up my tackle boxes and my rod and reels and be good to go. So we might go somewhere. Let's keep this within a half hour. I do appreciate all you guys that watch these live streams. The live streams a lot of times will do better than the actual videos I go out and edit. But tomorrow, just for the funs of it, the funsies, I put together however long I've been making this bait now, like a month of throwing the Screaming Thunder Cricket. I put all the little bass catching footages that I could track back down off of the videos I made into one little video that's going to drop tomorrow. So it's like 40 minutes of just me, catching chatterbait fish, basically. Some of it's comparing this bait to other baits. Most of it is throwing this, and I was kind of did a comparison between the GLX and the Blade. But after today, so I was kind of paying a little attention yesterday, but today I really wasn't trying to pay attention, but I literally took 10 rods out, and we were kind of limited on the time we fished. So in the process, I only pulled 3 out. I had the GLX, the Dobyns 704. The GLX is 803 MBR. The Dobyns HP Champion Extreme 704, and then the Megabass P5 Tequila Back Rack. So I just pulled those 3 out. I was throwing frogs and the bigger stuff on the Tequila Back Rack. I was throwing the buzzbait and some chatterbaits on the Dobyns, and then the GLX was throwing everything else. I was trying all the stuff. And what's funny is, if you guys remember right, that I was basically cussing myself about how I sucked, and was it the rods, the reels, or whatever. I'd been losing so many fish. I only lost like 1 fish, and I was throwing that 803 GLX was throwing this, and those are not very big hooks, and I just was pulling in fish. I think I only lost a few here or there, and they were like very little, 6 to 8 inch dinks. And I'm like, man, that rod just kicked in. I don't know. It was almost like it needed a break-in period, or me to just get used to how to, fish it. But that rod is excellent. And what I had found out without really trying was that I've always said the NRXs are more sensitive. They're the most sensitive over the P5s and whatever. But just throwing these different baits around today, the GLX is still more sensitive than all those others, the P5s, the Dobyns, or whatever. Now, I would almost put the Dobyns, those HP Legend Extremes or whatever, right there with the P5s. That Dobyns rod is a fairly sensitive rod, and those are like $365 rods, and the Megabass is $500. The GLX is somewhere right around there, isn't it? $5. I got them all cheaper. I got deals on all of them, but definitely by far that MBR is becoming my favorite rod. The Blade is still probably my favorite chatterbait rod, but I'm gonna have to keep putting those two head to head. But yeah, loving that GLX MBR. Subscriber recommended me to land big fish, and that place was legit, man. I had it. Didn't take long to get it, and it was like brand new, even though it's considered used. I was like $365, I think. Like that was a deal. So as I get out of here, I want to talk about these, since a Screaming Thunder Cricket. Make sure and watch that video. Today was a little more of a struggle bust, but we did get through the grass. But I think there's a few things that I've noticed that this bait. What's funny is I went back and I was watching Andy Montgomery talking about the Thunder Cricket. And he's like, it's not going to get you more bites. It's not going to do this, but, you'll get them hooked and this and that. And I'm like, that dude has not even mentioned one time. And I watched like 3 videos, little short, 3 to 5 minute videos when he was talking about the Thunder Cricket when it first came out, or talking about the Thunder Cricket rod, that the Lou's Signature Series. And I'm like, that dude never mentions that he thinks, because I don't know if he throws any other chatterbaits, to realize that this dude gets through the grass better than the other chatterbaits. And you should mention that, because it will, in my opinion, get you more bites when you need to get it through the grass. Now, I know they'll all get in and you can pop them out, but you have to be more, in my opinion, when you're throwing this Thunder Cricket with a pretty sensitive rod, you can kind of it's a more forgiving bait that works. To where the other ones, you kind of just throw them out and you feel you got to yank harder, and it's just I think the fact that how this Thunder Cricket works, and the Screaming one, because it's that in between, if you're in that certain water column height, you need a half ounce. You probably even need a 3/8, but a 3/8, half, and then this is in between before you get to the 5/8. And then I was throwing the 5/8. There was times when I needed that 5/8 today. I needed a little heavier. The bank dropped off quicker, and there was still some grass. But I think it's got to be something to do. I think there's 2 things that's happening to let it lets you be able to kind of pop it, and it pops free. It doesn't jump up and out of the strike zone kind of deal. And one is just that blade. This, you can definitely, this will go through the water column faster, and if you pull it, it kind of pulls straight. It doesn't lift up as fast as most of these other chatterbaits that I've seen. And then also, I think what it does is it's so smooth, so it's more likely to push the grass out of the way rather than tear through the grass, and then the grass tears and then gets caught on your hook more often than not on the other chatterbaits that aren't smooth bladed like this. It's got to be something to do with like that, because I just don't have near the hassle of popping in and out and through grass with a Thunder Cricket in general as over the jackhammers, the jackhammer knockoffs, even the Z-Man originals. Some of the smaller chatterbaits kind of work like that just because they have a smaller blade, and some of those other ones, but on the true, like a half ounce and the average size chatterbaits, these jackhammers, these Thunder Crickets just seem to get through there, and you can tell that the edges of these blades, just by yanking them, pulling them through, look how like it's sanded it off, like it's cleaned off the edges. This is the oldest one I have. Like, I put these things in that stuff. I want to fill them in that stuff and then popping it out of them. And so yeah, these don't have near as much. This dude's he's starting to take a little bit of a beating, if you can see. Like, that's from, see how they come, they're just all painted up, and then once they start, that's literally from like, grinding it through grass. But they work. I'm definitely a firm believer in the Thunder Cricket in the grass. And I want to say, I thought years ago, I remember Gene Jensen talking about this, that he was talking about he used the jackhammer for this. And I want to say he was the probably first guy I ever heard, and I just spaced it off. I was like, yeah, they're all the same. That's when I was just using Z-Man originals. I'm like, yeah. Thunder Crickets, jackhammers, they're all the same. I use the Z-Man originals. But I think it was Gene Jensen, Fluke Masters, first guy I heard talking about how he likes the Thunder Crickets in grass. And that's why they just get through it. Just that extra little bit. And you always hear guys talk about this, and it's like it'll generate a few more bites. Anytime you can get it down there and leave it a little longer and pull it through a little cleaner, it's just in the series of a day of fishing that bait, you will have more bites. There could be, a bigger fish in one of those bites, that kind of thing. So I'm definitely a believer in, if that bite is a little off on chatterbaits in general, and you just need to be down in it a little more to get them fired up, that's why I like those now. And it's just that, it's that time of year, like it's just bites a little tougher, and them Thunder Crickets do it. And I still throw this week. I didn't even jack with it because I didn't need to. I was generating enough bites to not even need to really try. I was just kind of comparing Thunder Cricket with Thunder Cricket, but I will pull out the regular ones, even the big blade, or basically the jackhammer knockoffs or the Nobi ones, to just try to get. Because they definitely have a little more of a thump to them. The big blade, 100% more thump. But these don't have quite as much thump. And you think, well, summertime, don't you want the most thump? The fish are more active. But no, you want the best to get through the grass this time of year. And you want to throw it in that grass. You want to be around grass if it's there. But anyway. All right, guys. Enough of a rant. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned. Like I said, watch that Screaming Thunder Cricket video. More for just the fun of it and see just all the craziness just when I start talking about Screaming Thunder Crickets, right? I didn't invent a new bait, but I invented a new bait. I gave it a new name. Screaming Thunder Crickets. Look at them. These guys are screamers. And they come in more colors that I make, but I don't sell them or anything. But I am going to be making some more Screaming Thunder Crickets for sure. That is definitely staying in my box. We took out some other chatterbaits. If you haven't watched that video, go back and watch it. But basically, we're keeping Mini Maxes, the Mini Max Evos, the Nobi or the Jackhammer knockoffs. We're not messing with Jackhammers. They're out. They're gonna be like $20 now, and I only ever bought like 3 Jackhammers in my life, or 4, maybe 4. So I took the few I have left. They are awesome baits. They do last. The Jackhammer does last, but I don't see a need to even jack with them anymore. Z-Man Originals are out of my box now, so we're gonna go with the Evos in the regular size. I hope they make the Evo in a heavier one. That's the only downside right now. The Evo comes in a 3/8 or a ½ ounce. Good colors. The Mini Max does come in a quarter, 3/8, and a half. I'm planning on getting some more ½ ounces. And even the Mini Max, I still like that, and the Big Blade. But I don't. I just have enough big blades. I like my bluegill and then my white. I feel that I don't need a bunch of different colors in the big blade. There's just a time when if they want something, you just a little more aggressive, a little louder, harder thumping, then throw the big blade, and you don't need a ton of colors for that. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned, and I will talk to you. Oh wait, stop, hold the phones. I did get on a couple. I should talk about them real quick. The LV500. I won't be buying any more of these. These are good baits, but for $15, I've yet to find where these guys. There's 2 of them here I had out using. I've yet to find a time where I still am a firm believer in the Booyah baits. They are more or less direct copy of the old Excaliburs. I don't care what anybody says. You can't talk me out of it. The old Excalibur and the Booyah hard knockers are virtually the same bait, and they do work. But the Quake 70s and 80s are kind of good. I kind of like those. I do like the LV500s. This is a Max 500 kind of deal. But I don't think that I can justify the $15 or whatever they are. They probably end up being more now. I'm sticking with like the Booyah hard knockers or the Quake 70s or 80s. And then I thought I should just mention this, a little shout out to these Lucky Craft. That's a good I like this color. And it does get hit. It didn't do any miracles today, but yesterday I got on a few little bites with it. That 2.5, it's just a good bait, all around bait. So I know a lot of times a lot of guys they've kind of been around forever, but they're like one of the OG like Japanese baits, right? But anyway, I just thought I'd throw them out there. I kind of got to use those a little bit. I can't get this dude to fire nowhere, but there's a time when that crazy color like that will just get bit when that water's dirtier. But it was kind of dirtier water today than it normally is, and I tried it briefly, but it was a more natural color. This dude that definitely was generating more hits for me, and that's one of the first times I tried that's that Kamikaze craw from Big Bite Baits. I'm still not 100% firm believer in it, but it was working today on a peanut butter and jelly mop jig. That's one of the first time I've kind of done that, doubled up on the purpley thing and just with a little bit of brown and stuff. But it was working today for a brief little time. All right, seriously, thanks for watching, guys. I'm out. See you later. And yeah, we'll talk more. Gotta go.